This is my grandpa, Pastor T. Thomas, who was born in India and then moved to America later on. He started a church called East Dallas Church of God, which is now known today as Crossview, and he also wrote a book. And we decided to interview him and ask him some questions because his life is really cool. So without further ado, here's the interview. All right. We are welcoming to the podcast Pastor T. Thomas, which is also our grandpa. Yep. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Fairly well.
It's Thanksgiving Day, so
Yes,
did you have a good
absolutely.
Thanksgiving? All right, we're going to get started with the first question. It's where in India were you born?
I was born at Kumbaran,
Kubanad, yeah?
Pathanamthitta district, Kerala.
So in Kerala. And you moved around a lot as a kid, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any memories from India?
Of course.
What's your favorite one?
My childhood days, my memories in different churches.
You want to talk about that a little more? Like, what exactly were they?
Yeah, I don't know how elaborate it should be that I have written a book and briefly tells my experience at each locations. And life will become enriched by being in different places and different settings.
Did you have to make new friends?
Yes, absolutely. And I have to, by 10th grade, I studied in 6 different schools.
6?
Oh.
Yes, so you can imagine how many times I had to make new friends and how many times I had to move.
Yeah.
But that enriched my life, so.
Yeah. Okay. Were you happy or were you sad when you first came to America?
I was excited. It's not whether I'm happy or sad. I was homesick, but at the same time I have a great hope for tomorrow, that I had a better future in the United States. So it's not happy or sad. It's a mixture of sadness of leaving my home, my surroundings, my native country. At the same time hopeful that God sent me here and I have a great future ahead. So
Okay. What is your favorite job that you have worked?
I have worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas for 31 years.
31.
Yes.
Yeah, you got this award.
Yeah. Isn't that your final departing gift?
Or is this just 20 years?
Right. It's a 20-year gift.
Yeah, it says 20 years of service, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. So that was your favorite job?
That was the major job I have done in the United States, secular job.
All right. What states have you lived in?
I lived in Illinois,
Illinois?
North Dakota, Tennessee, New York, and Texas.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, which one is your favorite? What's your favorite state that you've lived in?
Of course, Texas. I stayed here about almost 48 years now.
And you're still here. It's the most iconic one for sure.
So almost 50 years in Texas.
Half a century, I should say. Yeah, I've been living here in this state. So.
Okay. How happy were you when East Dallas moved into a new building and changed its name to Crossview?
I was excited. We built a new church and I was the one who suggested the name Crossview, and I was very excited.
I remember you telling me that you thought long about what the logo should be, and then you finally figured it out.
Yeah, because every time we go to church, we have to have a vision of the cross or a view of the cross to have the right attitude towards God, the right worship, the right passion to serve, and there is also it gives you a motivation to live.
And I remember when I was here all alone, like visiting just by myself, you said you were gonna have a new church that would have a different name than East Dallas, and I was like, oh, is this a joke? Oh man, you're actually doing it. And then years later, we came to the unveiling, and it was like, you know.
Yeah, it's not my thing. It's God directed me to do it.
Yeah, amen.
I give credit to God and a lot of my brothers and sisters who helped me along the way to make it a reality.
All right. What is your favorite book of the Bible?
I have several of them, but the book of Romans
Romans.
should be the most fundamental in biblical understanding.
What college did you go to?
Oh, I have gone to various colleges in India as well as in the United States. Under Kerala University, I studied in 2 different colleges. In the United States, I also went to a couple of Bible-related. One is Northwest Bible College in Minot, North Dakota. Then I studied at Temple Baptist Theological Seminary. I also studied at University of Texas at Dallas.
Oh,
So,
nice. Do you ever miss India?
of course, I mean, you cannot live in both places, but I miss my earlier days, my parents, my siblings, but later on, almost all of them moved to Dallas, to our area. So, but I miss my country where I grew up. It's a naturally beautiful state of Kerala. So I miss a lot of friends and dear ones, but many of them came to the US, and the world shrunk quite a bit after I moved from India to here. Now we have good communications, and so to a certain extent that's a true statement, but okay, I adjusted to the new environment.
Okay. What is your favorite Christian song?
Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace? What about Malayalam? What about Malayalam?
There are several of them, but Jesus is my foundation. Yeshu and Adistana. If I had to choose one, there are several others, but I just picked one out of the blue.
How did God call you to become a pastor?
Oh, I have the calling from my childhood to minister in some way for the kingdom of God. And when I came to Dallas and lived here for a year and a half, for a couple of years, God opened the way to start a church. And that's why God gave me an inspiration, so I started a new work at my home. That's how I started it, and I carried on 42 years.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
Not necessarily, but still, since I live in Dallas.
Yeah. So is your favorite sports team?
I mean, you could call that. But I'm not a dying fan of it.
Yeah. You're just a fan. Yeah.
If you had to choose somebody.
Yeah. Alright, what's your favorite Indian dish?
Fish curry.
Fish curry. Okay, yeah, classic.
If I had to choose something, I have to say that I never expected this kind of question, so I just say something that's popped on my mind.
How did you meet Grandma?
That's the Indian way, like somebody proposed. And I went to Chicago and met her in 1975.
So you met her in Chicago? Okay. What is your favorite book that you have read, not including your own one?
Yeah, I mean, I have read, I'm not an avid reader, but I have read several books, and then I finally figured that I have some idea, some information about my father and the ministry. Therefore, I wanted to write something in English because all my children and grandchildren were born and raised here. So I want them to have an idea how we grew up. Even if my time is over, I want them to remember the generation or the time in which I lived. Because I always look back my own family's history to see who they were. I mean, there were some pieces of history, but not anything clear. But this book shows, kind of tells you a lot of information. Briefly, I didn't write elaborately because I don't want to bore anybody, but it's a brief history of my experience with my parents as ministers, and a lot of my own few experiences in life is included in that book. And primarily I wrote it for my own children and grandchildren, but others also could read it and benefit if they would like to.
Okay, if you could live anywhere, like anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Every place on earth has some good and bad in it. So I travel to different cities and different places, and even I have some idea about other countries as well. When I study about those places, I knew that they have some problems. I mean, every country has its own. There is no place on earth which is the best place. But Dallas is a place that God led me to, and there are many things that I don't like about Dallas, but I love my city that I lived in and the surrounding area. I don't live properly in the city of Dallas. Now I live in Cloudway.
This is the last question. Why did you move to Dallas?
Because when after marriage, I moved to New York from Tennessee. New York was so congested, so I was living in Manhattan, which is in the business district, so I moved here, and I wanted to go to a place which is a little more, less crowded. My cousin was here before me, so I called him. He made me to move here, and he made all the initial help for me to settle down here. That was in 1977 February, and my children were all born here in this Dallas area.
Alright, last thing. If you were ever wanting to meet like your great, if Jesus doesn't come back in like a few years or like 20 years or something, what would you say to like our kid's kid, like a descendant of yours? What would be the thing you'd say?
I would say the purpose of writing the book from generation to generation, we are God's children no matter what generation we live in. The cultures may shift a little bit, ideas may shift, but the final, in the final analysis, no matter which generation you live in, you're a Christian and you live for God. And I want my children, my grandchildren's children and their children. I may not live to see any of them, but I have seen grandchildren, but I don't think I live that long to see any of their children, but I'm just saying that's the normal life. That's the reality. I'm not saying it desperation or anything, but I want them to serve God and live for God and have a successful, blessed life, blessed by the Lord.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure for me to be.
It's a pleasure to have you.